I'm Turk Strongman at Thuranki Ramacharaka. Thank you for selecting this. I believe it's my 6th video now in my series and playlist called High Order Thinking in Mystical Narrative. Before continuing, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Activate the notification bell feature. Share the joy of the channel with others, at least by giving this video a thumb up, and comment courteously below. Now, I want to throw in here a couple more things that I think qualify as high order thinking, methods of high order thinking that I haven't mentioned before. I've mentioned conceptual thinking, abstract thinking, creative thinking, metaphorical thinking. How about analogy? I'll put that somewhere between low order thinking and high order thinking, or intermediate thinking, right? But then there's logical inference, logical deduction, taking information that is given and determining from it something that that's not quite yet known because it's not stated. So what does something imply? What does it infer? What can be deduced from what is said? Something, that we can be at least rather sure of that's not stated, but can be taken from what is stated. And by the way, most of these high-order thinking capacities, methods, modes, when it comes to reading something, well, many of these are the ways, these are ways in which we can accomplish that thing that we've heard of before. Reading between the lines. Reading between the lines. Okay. Now, with that all said, these things are going to come up. So let's get on with the story. What we have now is an anticipation. Where we left off is we have an anticipation, and a definite anticipation of something that is going to be a bit mysterious and, moreover, of a mystical nature. And there will be high-order thinking skills. So there's high-order thinking content, high-order thought content. And we will be having also, as we know here, high-order thinking skills involved. All right, so let's move on now to the actual beginning of the meat of the story, the main part. In other words, the story that the main character is going to tell Stockton. You notice here that what we have is a story within a story. So I want to point this out. You, the audience, here's an analogy. You, the audience, or us, the audience of the story, the readers of the story, Lost World, New Bones, are to Stockton as this story, Lost World, New Bones, is to the story that's being told to Stockton in this story. Right, so he's audience to the story being told by the main character. Stockton is. That's all within this story. Now, the story of that story being told, including the story being told, you are audience to it. So you are somewhat in the same position. You don't know the story Stockton is going to be told until it's told, until it's being told. You're hearing it at the same time Stockton is. So there's two levels of audience hearing the account that's related by the main character to Stockton at the same time. So this puts us in a position here to, if we can determine, given that analogy, see, if we can determine, if the author, which was me, can determine how to keep Stockton, the main character's audience, on the edge of his seat or anticipating something, coming in the story, any such things, like what his reactions might be, and include all of that here in this story, Lost World New Bones. They should closely approximate your states of mind as you go through it. You, the audience, me, the audience of this whole story, Lost World New Bones. At the same time, if there's some tension build up and then there's going to be a release, or some anticipation build up, like, come on, you just tell the story, that kind of thing. On Stockton, with respect to Stockton's responses to it, and reactions and involvement with the story, they should carry over to you as well. If done correctly, appropriately, relevantly, realistically, plausibly. All right. Bear that in mind. So there's a level of complexity that might approach in its creation. If you can think like this here for a moment, my point of view, the author of the story, some high order thinking taking place in order to accomplish that or work with that. It's also, it makes the story, Lost World New Bones, a pretty easy one to tell for an audience. Because I just bear in mind the audience in the story, Stockton, and I'm automatically having in mind the audience of the whole story itself. All right, so it's a story being told to Stockton, and the setting of it, the chit-chat around it, his house and so forth, these are all just giving the whole thing context. All right, but these things can be used, the house, etc., to augment the mysticalness of the thing. Well, let's see how this might happen. Let's see how some of this may play out. Let's move on to a little further into the story now, where we get a much more solid idea of what's really going on here now. We're moving a little past just an expectation of something that might be a bit mysterious and quite a bit mystical in its nature. Where are we? Stockton put Mulder down and held the door open for me. Enter this old house of many haunts. My long-lost friend, your hair's getting longer than ever. Where on earth have you been these last few months? Everything okay? Are you all right? You okay? All right. This old house of many haunts. That kind of smacks of the paranormal. My long-lost friend. Okay, there's been some time apart. Where on earth have you been these last few months? It's been a few months. All right. So apparently the main character went somewhere. Might have gone somewhere. All right. And further down. Further down, further down, further down. All right. Stockton says, that ain't no lie. It is the truth. The truth, I tell you. We're always okay. Now, there's the word truth twice in a row. And it's contrasted with lies or untruth. What can be implied? What's implied here about Stockton's interest in life? Interests. What things are of interest to him? What things does he hold of and high, ascribe high value? Well, the truth. The truth apparently is something that interests him. And we might have said already, if not, in the story is interesting. He has a crime show that he does on radio. He writes books on missing people. He has a channel, a YouTube channel over the paranormal. He does other things with the paranormal, I think, also. Something else that he puts together. All right. So, I don't know if that was already said in the story. I haven't checked here just before starting this video. But anyway, he's interested in the truth. He wants to get to the truth of matters. Apparently, that ain't no lie. It is the truth. The truth, I tell you. All right? Distinguishing fact from fiction. Distinguishing fact from belief. Fact from opinion. Truth from untruth. In connection with things that may be unseen, or paranormal, or mystical, mysterious. All right? Stockton's voice, continuing here, plus his frequent references to lies versus truth, always ring with the mysterious and the mystical. And fittingly so, it says. The firm believer that he is in things unseen, inside us and outside us alike. There. All right. So that ain't no lie. It is the truth. The truth, I tell you. Our inference that we took from that about him, it's true. It is true. It's a good inference to have made. Okay. A good deduction. All right. And moving further down, Stockton says, pull yourself up a sit down and let's have a long-awaited powwow. Now, they're going to have dinner together. Stockton was already preparing dinner when the main character arrived at his place. So they're going to sit down and they're going to eat together. But at the same time, we're going to get into the actual event being related to Stockton right away, a little bit. Okay. Right. Pull yourself up a sit down. Let's have a long-awaited powwow. Do tell of your latest adventures. All right. There we have a direct reference to something being an adventure now. In fact, adventures. Yeah, we were right about this guy. Right from the start, him walking across the porch with that sound. Yeah, there have been adventures. And we're probably going to hear about another one now. All right? Stockton continues. I'm sure they are as eventful as always. Me, myself, here it comes. I've been just taking care of the usual affairs, doing my crime show, writing a new book on missing persons, making my films about the paranormal. And there is a YouTube channel in which he narrates things about the paranormal as well. All right. So really, what have you been doing? All right, so now we know that Stockton is definitely open to all sorts of new information. It may have to do with things unseen inside us and outside us alike. And he's interested in distinguishing what's true from what's not. So that should be your interest now too, the audience. Remember, Stockton's audience. He is audience in the story. You are audience outside of the story. You are audience to the story of Lost World New Bones. All right. Moving down. The reply. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Well, it's very concisely stated. Start right off. Goes right to the heart of it. Well, I took a little time away. I went on down to Venezuela and got myself some new bones. That's all. Well, that certainly creates some mystery. And getting new bones? What kind of experience is this? What's meant by that? That could mean a few things. At the word bones, Mulder got excited because he's a dog, right? Like I might have a treat for him or something. Stockton tossed him down a little chunk of bison, which was being whipped up for dinner. All right. And then Stockton asks, now wait a second. New bones? You said you got yourself some new bones. Since when have you been interested in archaeology or anthropology? You do mean human bones. That's right, Stockton, human bones. And then Stockton, a few seconds later, says, "Now, Venezuela, new bones. The floor is yours." And so far, all we know is that this guy got new bones, like he dug them up, or he found them, human bones. We don't yet know any more than that about the new bones. Not at this point. Right? Mulder thought there was a bone in the main character's pocket. Okay. The main character says, "Well, the new bones thing was accidental. I'll get to it in a while. You have to hear the whole thing." Now here again, Stockton is audience to this adventure being told now. And you are audience to all of that. So this is a way to let you know, too. You need to hear the whole thing. And we'll get to what the new bones thing, how that happened, what that is. But the main character for now continues. You have to hear the whole thing. I've been getting tired of the mundane and the same old day-to-day. You remember, I was talking about something new for a good while. All right. Where are we going here? I did it on the spur of the moment, I say. Or the main character says. After apologizing for not having let Stockton know that he was going to take off. And here's an important thing here. It has to do with the location of the adventure, where it is all took place. I apologize for not having apprised him of my departure to the Lost World. There it is. The Lost World. So now we have Lost World and New Bones introduced. The Lost World. Now, the Lost World. Just the name of that. Just that name. Sounds mysterious. Even mystical. Right? Or prehistoric. Or all three. All right. I did it on the spur of the moment. I woke up one day and I thought about that story or that book, The Lost World, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So I got out of bed, packed up some of my stuff in my backpack, drove over to the airport, bought a ticket, and flew down to Venezuela to visit the mysterious area myself. So we're still dealing largely with mystery because we don't know what's coming. Mystical filters in and takes over for mystery. As per the usual, I had no real plan. I just wanted a getaway. And if it involved an element of the unknown, and an element of chance, and one of danger, well then all the better. Okay, that builds up some anticipation, right? The unknown. That's a bit mystical and mysterious. An element of chance. Fate. And one of danger, then all the better. But notice also, those are elements being named. Elements. An element of the unknown. Or like a little piece of it. An element of chance. Like there's a piece of that in there. And those are the component parts of a whole atmosphere, a whole mood. A whole direction that things may go. Unknown, chance, danger. Wow. This appeals a little bit to fear of the unknown. And then letting things just fall, letting the chips fall where they may, you know. But also notice the word elements. That word has been used in other ways, of course. Chemical elements and the alchemical elements, the mystical elements, you might say, air, earth, wind, fire, and the ether. There are 4 elements in nature, plus their medium of existence, the ether. All right. So we've smacked of that, the 4 elements thing, by naming 3 here. But not those. Just calling them elements. An element of the unknown, element of chance, one of danger. Now, if we're talking unknown, chance, and danger, and calling them elements, we're saying we have an element of each. And this brings to mind anything, even subconsciously, air, earth, wind, and fire. Well, let's put those together. Air, earth, wind, and fire. The unknown, chance, and the danger. We have a whole mood going here and some content for it. Air, earth, wind, and fire. The unknown. Yeah, there is an element of unknown to the whole idea of air, earth, wind, and fire. And those things sound like just the way things work, the basic elements of how things work. Just how they work, cause and effect going on. Chance, fate, and danger. Well, such a thing will smack of danger a little bit, because you're entering unknown territory. All right. So then, what does Stockton do but address this very thing, this very comparison of unknown, chance, and danger with air, earth, wind, and fire? He addresses that, which would be just right for Stockton to be doing now. Then Stockton, trying to make a smart-ass joke with some of his inherited gypsy witch lingo. Now there you go. A little of the unknown again. A little bit of chance and a little bit of danger, right? And a witch. Gypsy witch lingo. Commented, but aren't there really 4 elements in nature? He's trying to make a joke. Not to mention the elusive ether, you mentioned only 3. Well, again, the 3 I named were the unknown, chance, and danger. He's acting like those are 3 of the 4. But they're not. Earth, air, wind, and fire. Earth, air, wind, those are 3 of the 4. You mentioned only 3. Well, all right. Let's end right there. We now know about the new bones. We know that about there being new bones involved here, other than just from the title of the story. We also know we're introduced to the lost world, and we're talking about primal elements, whether they are elements of our conscious, that enter our conscious awareness about ourselves and how we're feeling, or the kinds of things there are to feel about, like the unknown, chance, danger, and the primal elements, earth, air, wind, and fire. We brought all those things together here. Okay, there we go. So we have a real mood set now, and we have a direction this is going, and we're setting an atmosphere, and we're building up some anticipation. Okay. So there's where we're at right now. We'll see you in the next video. Give this one a thumb up, remember. Share the Joy of the Channel with others like that. And comment courteously below. See you in the next one, number 7. Thank you for selecting this video on high order thinking in mystical narrative.